Hello everybody, and welcome to Decision Desk HQ's overview of the U.S. state of Ohio's politics. Let's get started. Prior to 2020, Ohio was universally recognized as a pivotal swing state in presidential elections. It voted for the winning presidential ticket in every election between 1964 to 2016, the longest such streak in American history. And to date, no Republican has ever won the presidency without winning Ohio. However, after Democrat Barack Obama carried the state by 5 points in 2008 and 3 points in 2012, Ohio's bellwether status has been called into question, given that Donald Trump won it by 8 points in 2016, the largest margin for either party since 1988, and then won again by an almost identical margin in 2020, despite losing the presidency nationwide. Now, Ohio's partisan lean is Republican plus 6, according to the Cook Political Report's Partisan Voting Index, which is a measurement of how strongly the state leans toward one party compared to the nation as a whole, based on how that state voted in the previous 2 presidential elections. And there are currently 15 U.S. states that lean fewer than 6 points toward either party. Just another indication that Ohio is not the quintessential swing state that it once was. Still, Ohio is an electorally unique state, and a fascinating one in the sense that it has 3 distinctive areas. First, central and western Ohio is most like the Midwest. The Republican Party enjoys dominant margins with rural voters here, as much as 80 or 90% of the vote. However, they are technically maxed out, as these areas are stagnant in population. Republicans are gaining in small working-class towns like Lima, Marion, and Springfield, affected most heavily by the 2008 recession, and beginning to make inroads with black voters in Columbus. On the flip, Democrats are rapidly gaining in suburban and exurban Columbus. Northern Delaware County is one of the fastest blue trending places in the entire country. Now, as for the second distinctive area, if you're wondering why Democrats struggle to remain competitive in Ohio, look no further than Rust Belt, Ohio, located in the northern and northeastern areas of the state. Democrats are losing support from urban minorities in Cleveland, Akron, and Toledo, and are failing to offset these losses with necessary gains with white voters. Suburbs like Parma and Bedford are barely moving toward the Democratic Party, and Republicans are flipping white working-class voters in Canton, Warren, and Youngstown. And finally, voting patterns in South and Eastern Ohio more closely parallel voting patterns in the South than the rest of the Midwest. Rural voters are reliably Republican and, if anything, are still moving toward the GOP. As such, Democratic bases are few and far between, but consist predominantly of black voters as well as middle-class, college-educated white voters found in larger cities such as Cincinnati and college towns such as Oxford and Athens. As previously mentioned, Republicans depend on rural domination and wealthy white suburban areas such as Mason and Kettering to build margins. However, like many other ancestral Republican areas across the South, the Dayton and Cincinnati suburbs are beginning to trend toward the Democratic Party. Demographically, Ohio is the 7th most populous state in America, with almost 12 million residents, according to the United States Census Bureau's latest estimates. The state ranks below the national average in median household income and percent of residents with a college degree, ranking 36th and 38th in those categories respectively. This is especially notable in Ohio's northern cities and mid-sized towns, which are much less educated than other majority-white areas with similar population densities around the U.S. The state is, however, whiter and older than the average U.S. state. 77% of Ohioans describe themselves as white alone in the census, which ranks 18th, and 18% of persons are ages 65 and older, which also ranks 18th among all U.S. states. In terms of minority representation, the state is significantly less Hispanic than the national average at 4%, but Ohio has a similar proportion of black voters to the nation as a whole, mostly concentrated in several major metropolitan areas such as Akron, Cincinnati, and Cleveland. Finally, voters in Ohio are notably more religious than in other Midwestern states, even those traditionally more conservative such as Iowa and Indiana. Looking ahead to 2024, Democratic U.S. Senator Sherrod Brown will be in the competition of his life against a Republican nominee in a presidential year as cross-party and split-ticket voting is at an all-time low across the entire country. Brown has held this seat since 2007 and has never won by a margin of less than 5%. But given Ohio's strong Republican trend, this seat will certainly be one of Democrats' most vulnerable. Meanwhile, a strengthened Republican majority on the Ohio Supreme Court may pass if gerrymander in time for the 2024 election cycle, which could result in at least 12 GOP-leaning seats, possibly even 13 out of 15 total. And that's all for today's video. We hope you enjoyed it. Please make sure to subscribe to the Decision Desk HQ YouTube channel down below and turn on notifications so you never miss one of our videos. Please do leave a like if you want to see more of this type of content and comment any thoughts, reactions, or suggestions you have. We'll see you next time.